for you to become anything, don't stay in a cocoon. Don't rest your head in a cul-de-sac. Is anybody still out there? Test your popularity elsewhere. Yeah, sure. With all humility. I'm a nurse, and I'm proud to say I'm a nurse. And, of course, I went into psychology thereafter, after my degree. Of course, from clinical psychology, making escapades there, I went into developmental. And of the number of students, 52, 53 in a class, only one student defended ahead of me, despite that I was coming from a nursing background. So, the knowledge in one will help you to further the next in another one. And of course, it was from whatever I've done in between that made a few others, like some of the names I mentioned, to ask me to go and compete for Fulbright scholarship in North America and Canada. It was the day that form was to close that I got to know about it. Long story, but I won the Fulbright scholarship, okay? And that was what made me to fly into North America the first time, multidisciplinary approach, and that's how I came into ethics.
Very, very important and highly crucial. I want to say that with this think tank and this brain behind TORG, I think we need to do something about theater operations in Nigeria. Perhaps there should be an SOP that is going to be a mandatory obligation that in Nigeria, for any operating route to be constructed, this and this must be followed. A perioperative nurse, a stakeholder must be part of that construction. Because if you see what is constructed for us sometimes as operating route, they now put the operating manager into confusion of how to demarcate which one is the restricted room, which one is the operating room. That one is isolated. Then the semi-restricted, the electric corridor, you see everything modular in such a way that aseptic technique is compromised. And you find yourself fighting other professionals. What are you calling this? And what they do is they now nickname the professionals. They are wicked, they are offensive, they are aggressive.
So if, for example, the patient finds himself in a culturally disorganized setting, does it have any implication to the patient? Then you, the staff, you're working in an environment where there is chaos, for example, consequent upon the right disconnect. As much as we're going to be talking here, I expect maybe you to say something about how it impacts on the patient. How does it impact also on the staff who is at that time struggling to eventually render care?
I said one of the things that we need to take home from this conference is that there is beauty in diversity, despite challenges. And in the operating room, we are not working in silos. We are working as a team, and the team is made up of the surgeon, the nurses, the anesthetists, the technicians, the housekeeper, and in each category of team there is a leader, and the leader makes some decision. But how decisions are made matters a lot.
Family dynamics can also be an impact and affect the diversity in the operating room, because we have a lot of family-centric cultures, like in Japan. They are family-oriented people. So most of these patients might want their family to be in the operating room while operating. So it can impact patient-provider. Also, there can be bias or stereotype in the operating room concerning the provider. There is an proven belief either from the patient side or from the provider side. The patient can just say the provider just dislike, and this can be a form of impact on that patient.
over the time, of course, by the virtue of our relationship with the health sector, we've built a culture. And this culture has the potential to determine what will be the kind of inputs that we put into the practice and the outputs that we will get at the end of the day. You mentioned specifically about language and communication. Just from every other person's or other opinion and of course contributions, we've seen over the time that probably because of that individual, the diversity in background, because of course, like for example, the operating room, for example, we have a surgeon, an anesthetist, a scrub nurse, we have a technician, we have some unskilled, professionals that also assist in the operating room. The language of the only way these people with different exposure, academics, and otherwise, of course, the only way they can communicate effectively for them to be able to achieve the result is language of respect for each other's opinion. Language of respect for what you have to contribute, not feeling superior, not superiority complex and neither inferiority complex.
I can say that most of the time the decisions are not consultative enough. And why did I say this? There are some decisions that the surgeons will take without fully informing the patient. Some, the patient will be informed, but not in the language that the patient understands. Meanwhile, we have other members or other team members that are meant to also be carried along in taking such decisions. Most of the time, these are not being expressed and effects are being felt on the patient.
We have committed a lot of mistakes training only doctors and leaving behind nurses and physiotherapists and psychologists and social workers and pharmacists and other healthcare providers. And I think it happened in Nigeria too, where you treat doctors and you think everything will be fixed. No. Who is always with the patient? Nurse. Can you clap for nurses? So a well-trained nurse in any topic, a well-trained nurse, a considered nurse, a recognized nurse, will make patient life better. A well-trained doctor will not. Because you go and prescribe and leave orders, then you go. And when you come back, if the nurse is not well-trained, is not a good nurse, nothing will happen.
Those of us who work in the operating theater, we often don't allow spectators to come around to appreciate what we're doing. And that's why many at times, the policy makers don't appreciate what we're doing. But at least this afternoon, let's appreciate ourselves. We should work with the theater to the round of applause. Only God knows how many lives you have touched. Only God knows how many families you have impacted. Only the heavens can tell how many generations you have impacted. So please give yourself a clap.
If your theater, you have to represent Nigeria in AORN conference in the US, and they ask you to present your day-to-day activities in your theater, unedited, will you be proud to present your theater? Will you be proud to present your processes and your protocols and the way you do things? We have to be able to get to the point whereby we can compete globally.
Our operating room professional must possess not only technical proficiency, but also soft skills to engage with patients and colleagues. It's not only what we're able to learn, or what we're able to use your hand to do, but there are some other non-technical skills that you must be able to learn along the spine as surgical professionals, like communication, empathy, all those things. You must be able to learn it to be able to relate well with your patient.
Even in the United States, we reprocess implants. So they come in this huge kit where there's like 30 of them, and the doctor goes, I need that one. Okay, that one didn't work. Let me try that one. And then it comes back to CSP. Once an implant is opened in a surgical suite, it is considered contaminated and should be discarded.